Bring the camera up.
Okay.
It's moving somewhat. Okay, that looks like it's recording. I want to see DPR's comment. And yeah, it's probably good enough.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, so this isn't the first time we've done this, yeah?
No, we spoke over Skype in Physical Conservatives Blog TV a little while ago, and well, actually, we were discussing a sort of similar topic, Islam and modernity. So yeah, I mean, first off, thank you for agreeing to discuss the issue. I mean, I do appreciate you're busy and you've got a lot of people who are after your time. There's a couple of things I want to sort of say.
I mean, first, I mean, just for history's sake, can you remember how would you describe the outcome of that previous conversation about Islam and modernity?
Oh, to be honest, I don't massively remember. To be honest.
But well, if you would,
I mean, I think.
If you had pwned me, would you remember it?
Well, I remember there were various people at the time saying that I'd pwned you. I mean, I think you made a couple of comments about Islam, which I think were just not particularly accurate. One being the idea that Islam hadn't changed over 800 years, which I just think is deeply problematic.
But it is still called Islam, yeah.
But then, sorry?
It is still called Islam.
I'm still called DLandoncole, but when I was 3, I didn't weigh 110 kilos.
Yes, I know, but okay, there are elements that change and elements that don't change.
Yeah.
So it now comes down to a discussion of not whether Islam has changed or not, but have any relevant factors changed?
No. The discussion. I mean, the discussion at hand is, you know, the video I made with the various issues that I mentioned. The most recent one, which you picked up on, which is a sort of recapitulation of 3 previous videos that I made directed at you that people seem to think were well, had some decent points in them. So that's.
Do you think they were? This is an important distinction. Do you think they are decent points?
Do I think they're decent points?
Yes.
What, the points that I've made?
Yes.
Yeah, some of them are pretty strong. Some of them less so. It's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest.
I mean, is there any particular reason why you just didn't list them in order of their strength, or just cut it down to the strong points?
Well, so I did it chronologically. You know, as a recapitulation of the 3 videos to make it easy for people to track where my arguments were coming from.
Okay.
And also because you had implied that there hadn't been thorough criticism of the points that you'd made, and that the points you'd made had only been criticised in a somewhat ephemeral way.
Yes.
In my videos, I actually.
Do you think that's a reasonable appraisal, or not? Do you? I mean, after all, I'm not after shopping for your opinion of other people's opinion. I'm after what you think.
Well, and likewise, I'm trying to work out where it is you're coming from. I mean, as I can say, I mean, there were some videos that were made to you, which were, you know, some were silly, some were insulting, some were born of frustration, but some were actually really quite good criticisms of some of the points you were making.
Can you give me the...
UK.
And are those points summarised in what you've got here?
Some are, some aren't. I've incorporated some of them, but I mean, well, the 4 people I'm thinking of principally here are Bespoke Group UK, The True Booker, Skeptical Engineer, and Physical Conservative. Now, some of those I've incorporated, some I haven't. For instance, Skeptical Engineer does some statistics which is beyond my statistical ability, so I haven't tried to incorporate it, so I'd make a hash of it. You know, I've taken one of Bespoke Group's points about Karl Popper, which I mixed in, and a few others as well. As I say, I mean, some of these points are, I think, rather stronger than others. But I think they all bear discussion because they can hopefully bring out a bit where it is we're both coming from.
Yes. So where do you think it is that I'm coming from?
Well, that's what I'm trying to work out. That is what I'm trying to work out. Not entirely sure.
Well, let's see if we can actually start on a point of agreement and work towards where we actually diverge here. Let's start with something simple. Do you think that the world would be a better place with more or less religion in it?
Well, that I've answered that in two parts. Part A, less. But part B, in the real world, it depends what you have to do to get there. Because one way of getting rid of, one way of having less religion in the world is shooting everybody. Obviously, that isn't something either of us would do.
That's diverting off into something different. I mean, do you think that, yeah, I mean, but you agree with me on the goal?
No, hang on, Thunderf00t, stop. It is not diverting off something. The point is how you achieve it. One of the things I look at...
That wasn't the question.
Hang on, wait, and please let me finish. One of the things I'm interested in is intended consequences in counterinsurgency. And there are similar things that I think you can look at here, where you say, I think it would be better if there was less religion in the world, but what you have to do to get there. If the cost of getting to less religion, it means we have to go for a state that is rather oppressive, I'm not in favour of it. To me, secularism is rather more important than atheism.
I'm just curious as how you actually got on to counter-terrorism when all I wanted to know is, do you think the world would be better with more or less religion in it?
Because, as I just said, there is a comparison that can be made. Now, and I wasn't talking about counter-terrorism, I was talking about counterinsurgency.
Okay, sorry, I stand corrected.
The point I was making is that in counterinsurgency, the actions you take can have unintended consequences. There's a similar thing here. The actions that you take, and that's a you as in the, not you personally, but one, I suppose, the action that one takes to reduce the amount of religiosity in the world can actually lead to more religiosity and more religiosity of an unfortunate character, shall I say. So that is why I was making the comparison.
Okay. But we agree that the prime goal, we have the same goal, that the world would be a better place with less religion in it.
No. Ceteris paribus, yes, that might be true, but as I just said, secularism is more important to me than atheism.
Sorry?
Living in a secular society is, having a society that is secular is more important to me, is higher up my sort of list of priorities than building a society that's atheist.
Okay. You've now sort of shifted off. There are attributes of society, right? Religion is one of them.
No, I haven't.
Do you think that religion is a positive attribute to society? That was a specific
question you asked me. Go on.
Religion is an attribute of society. Do you think that the world would be a better place with less religion in it?
Right. Ceteris paribus, yes. But it depends what you have to do to get to less religion in society.
That's not what I asked. We're establishing goals, right? Once you've established a goal, then you can move on to how you achieve such goals. Right? But until you've established a goal, you cannot actually take steps towards achieving it.
Thunderf00t, the point, right, hang on, couple of things here. The point is, what I'm saying is, how you achieve your goal matters. Now, I
agree completely, but
yes,
until you've established a goal, what is the point of discussing the methods of achieving it?
Because I think the methods an effect on whether the goal.
I agree completely, but
Now,
unless you, what is your goal? I mean, what do you think here?
What is my goal? What into me? Oh, peace, love, and understanding. I don't know. I don't have a fully worked out show.
And in peace, love, and understanding, is religion a good thing?
Is religion a good thing? Overall, no. I think overall it's a negative.
So diminishing religion in society would be a good attribute.
Ceteris paribus, yes.
Okay.
All things being equal, yes. But as I've said, I really don't think it's that challenging a point. It depends what you have to do to get there.
Okay, right. So this is now point number 2. How do you achieve such goals?
Well, hang on a minute. I'm quite happy to have this debate. I thought we were going to be going through the issues I raised in response to your video.
Yes. And this, look, to a degree, we've actually started on this theme now, so we could as well finish. I mean, if you want to go through these 25 points, to be honest, I've been through them. I really don't see, I mean, well, even if we were to go through these fairly quickly, I really don't see that there's a lot in here, and that we would be maybe better served by, the theme. I mean, if you want to go to this, yeah? You want to go to these 25, what do you call them, substantives?
We don't have to spend half an hour on each of them, but there are, whoops, what did I do there? If they're so easy to dismiss, if my arguments, as you suggest, are so weak, it shouldn't take you very long to dispense with them.
Yes. Okay, so, but these are your substantive points. These are, if you like, your primary items that you think that I am wrong on in, how do you say, in the reading of the situation, in reading the situation properly. I don't really say what the situation is, but don't worry about that. And the actions he is taking are not just ill-informed, but regrettably may worsen the situation. So are these 25 substantives the key things that show that I have misread the situation and they may make things worse?
Well, I don't know if they're the key things. They're the things that occurred to me.
Why did you not make the most important points? Right? If you're going to actually do this, just list the line 1, 2, 3, and 4 item, and that would have been the way that I would have done it. I don't see the reason of just sort of making points that you thought were interesting. I mean, that doesn't seem a terribly cohesive way to do this.
The reason I did them chronologically is because that's the way I tend to think, with a big piece of paper and writing it down chronologically. Now, if you want to debate the way I do my work, that's fine, but perhaps you can give me your advice in another forum. I don't really see why the order in which I set the points out is relevant.
Shall we begin?
Whether or not these are the 25 most important points or not, I don't know. These are some points that came to me over the course of watching your videos. I haven't sat down and done a complete analysis of what you've said. So it may be that some of these, in fact, I'm sure that some of these are relatively weak, some of them might be rather less weak, some of them might be strong, and there are probably some things out there that I haven't considered at all. Or some, like I said, skeptical engineers video, I think shows there are some problems with your assertions.
But, okay, well, the only real assertion that I made is I don't really see why you wouldn't list them by order of importance, but that's now sort of irrelevant. But you've also said that people seem to think that you have some sort of intellectual prowess in that other people think that you are making good points here, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shall we begin?
Yeah, as I said, well, hang on. As I said, I'm not entirely comfortable having been set up as some sort of, champion of what's going on.
But that is sort of de facto what you are, yes?
No, I'm just a person who's having a discussion about a few points. Anyway.
Just out of interest, do you think there is anyone who is making better points than you?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, as I said, I think the person who's made the best response to you is Skeptical Engineer.
Okay, and just briefly, can you remember what his points were about?
Yeah, he just did a statistical analysis, multivariate analysis of your argument that Islam was the sort of death knell for science, or whatever it is, however it is you put it, forgive me, I don't quite remember, and compared it to other factors, and showed that while Islam is a factor, it is not the most important factor.
Can you remember what the most important factor was?
I think it was GDP.
I wouldn't have disagreed with that one bit. But you don't think that the GDP of a country is actually related to its history over the past 500 years or so? In other words, the GDP is also a function of the religion as well as the scientific output. So primary and secondary effect.
Yes, but religiosity is also a function of the GDP. In general, as countries become richer, they become less religious. It's an iterative process.
Yes. So religion is actually integral to why they have a lower GDP, as well as why they have a poorer attitude to science.
Yeah. Well, it depends what you mean by integral. It is one of many factors.
But line 1 and 2 factors are both functions of religion.
Sorry, say again, Thunderf00t, you broke up a little bit.
Sorry, the line 1 and the line 2 items, the GDP, if you say that the GDP is the prime whatever, that is a function of religion. And also the actual attitude to science is a function of religion. So, I mean, you say that he does some statistical analysis, but does it change the conclusion?
Right, it is a function of religion, but it is not solely a function of religion. There are other things at play there that he looks at.
I'm not entirely sure that I ever said that it was.
The point I'm making is that Islam isn't the most, religion isn't the most important factor. I mean, I would suggest that your best option, to be honest, is to watch the video. It's quite good.
I think I have, I agree completely with the analysis that he's done. I just don't see that it changes the conclusion.
Well, in that case, we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Well, why do you think it changes the conclusion?
Well, because the impression I got from your videos was that you saw Islam as the be-all and end-all. This is the key factor.
It's a prime factor. Would you disagree with that?
Yeah. Sorry?
It's a prime factor. Would you disagree with that?
Well, no, hang on. Whether it's a prime factor or not, I don't know. I could probably be convinced on that. What I said was that I got the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, I got the impression from your videos that you thought it was the key factor.
Well, the key factor, prime factor. Okay, but we are. It is. I never said that it was the only factor. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the impression I got was that you thought it was the single most important factor, and was, I also got the impression that you're almost saying that it outweighed the other factors at play there.
Okay.
Is that accurate or not?
I would have just been happy to have said this is a prime factor in both the status quo that the Middle East has achieved and the attitude to science within those countries. Yeah. I mean, another thing that it's used to take broad brush.
Sorry. I think this is actually quite an important point. I mean, it may be that I've misinterpreted you here. The impression I got from your videos was not just that you thought Islam was important or one of a set of prime factors, but that you thought it was the most important factor.
And do you have exactly what I said there?
No, I don't. It's an impression from having watched various of your videos.
Oh, okay.
It's nothing more than an impression. Maybe that I've misinterpreted you. I'm just out of interest. If I were to say that Islam is, the key factor,
I'm just out of interest. If I were to say that Islam is, the key factor, the poorest, the most illiterate, the most backward, the most unhealthy, the most unenlightened, the most deprived, and the weakest of all the human race. Would you call me a racist or a bigot for that?
No, I'd say two things. Firstly, I dislike the term race because I've never had explained satisfactorily to me what a race is. But I don't have the statistics in front of me, so it may be that is an accurate description of the situation. It may not. I'm sure you're not saying that it's I'm sure you're not making a crude racist point there. Is what I'm trying to say.
Indeed, do you actually recognise the quote?
Now, sorry?
Do you recognise the quote?
Do I recognise the quote?
I'll give it to you.
No.
It was President Musharraf back in 2002, and he was describing the status of education in the Islamic world, and was actually using this as a launching point for creating scholarships to send young scientists to seek out knowledge in universities in developing countries. Musharraf described this as the real jihad or holy war, and unless this was done, the Islamic world and the Muslims would always be perceived as illiterate and those who would indulge in extremism and violence. Now, this is essentially, I think, where I was going. When you said that you got this perception, right? I think it's more that if I had said this, and you only had to look at the comments to see this, people instantly branded me as a bigot. And indeed, if people,
Can I come in?
please.
Thunderf00t, I specifically said in one of my videos, and I'm just going to bring up the thing now, that I do not consider you a bigot.
I know, no, I wasn't, no,
racist, no, stop, and that I dissociate myself from people who have been accusing you of that. So I'm not sure. I don't think you're a bigot. I don't think you're a racist. I think people who call you that are wrong.
Okay, but that's not what I was saying. I was saying that you only had to take a look at the text comments. Maybe you missed them at the time. People were sort of taken back. How could I possibly say such sweeping things about Islam, right? In other words, it was the fact that I was looking at the comments at the time. It may be that people were trolling, I don't know. But it seemed to me, and I would have expected that if I had actually said this, that people would have absolutely gone ballistic, right? However, when you get someone like Musharraf, who is, or was, I forget what Pakistan is, but it's one of the most populous Islamic countries in the world, and 90-something% Muslim, high 90% Muslim, actually saying something like this. I think that it is, he's basically saying the same thing that I am, right? That unless they actually change the religion, diminish aspects of it, that Islam has real problems.
Well, I don't think I can really be held responsible for the comments of other people on YouTube. I don't, given that I have not only not said that you're a racist or a bigot, but dissociated myself from those positions, I'm slightly confused as to what this has to do with anything. The other thing I'd say is that you weren't speaking to an audience in Pakistan. Musharraf's comments were as much as anything aimed at the ISI, but, different issue.
Mm. Yeah. So, if you like, that would be... Actually, we keep diverting off the issue, actually. Shall we just go through these 25 points? Is that acceptable, or...?
Yeah, if that works for me, is that what... let me just slide across. Is that what people would in the chat room would like us to do?
Okay. So, point one is the comparison between the Westboro Baptist Church and the Cordoba Initiative doesn't work. Well, what was the comparison that I made between the Westboro Baptist Church and the Cordoba Initiative? What was the critical property that I was comparing? I'll give it to you. Let me read you the quote, and then you can actually sort of make up your mind on that. Just like these guys have the right to protest funerals of dead soldiers, and of course people will judge them based on their actions. It's a fairly simple equation. Act like jerks and people will see you, and the organisation you represent as jerks. Likewise, with the Ground Zero Mosque, people will inform their opinions of them and the religion they purport to represent based on their actions. So what is the basis of comparison here?
Well, the thing is, Thunderf00t, that's not the whole story, because you also flashed up various images at the same time of the Westboro Baptist Church during one of their protests. I mean, this is, as I'm sure you know, that has an effect on people. That's why people like to use it in television and so on. The problem is that you were saying that if you were making a fundamental assertion there, and this leads on to my second point in a moment, that while the Westboro Baptist Church were acting as jerks, so were the Cordoba Initiative in setting up.
But that isn't what was said. Yes.
That is what you implied.
But it's not what was said.
Fine. In that case, I'll tell the people who wrote out Fox to reshoot their film. Sorry, Thunderf00t, but that's I think that is quite weak. Your choice there of comparison, I think, was deliberate. You were deliberately, bringing up the idea of the Westboro Baptist Church as a really unpleasant group. And I'm sure you are fully aware that by having seeded that idea in people's mind, they would have made an association of moral equivalence between the actions of the Westboro Baptist Church, somebody who's someone considered a hate group by things like XPLC, and the Cordoba Initiative in Part 51.
And just out of interest,
went so far as to call it the Ground Zero Mosque.
And just out of interest, why do you think there is negative connotations? Right? In other words, people in America clearly thought that this was a jerky thing to do. That's what the poll showed. So why is that an invalid comparison? People see one group as jerks.
Well,
people see another group as jerks.
We come to that in point 2.
Let's stick to point 1 first.
Hold on a moment. Sorry. Now, let's look at your comparison, because you were saying that the one was a jerk thing to do and the other was a jerk thing to do.
That was the public perception.
Baptist Church.
That was the public perception.
No,
yes.
No, this isn't about public perception. We'll come on to that in point 2. That's what you just asked. The issue here is the comparison that you were making between the Westboro Baptist Church and the Cordoba Initiative. The point is, on the one hand, you've got a group recognised as a hate group, the Westboro Baptist Church, and on the other side, you've got Ralph and his lot. So you've got somebody who wrote a book called "What's Right with Islam is What's Right with America." It's been sent out 4 times, twice by by 2 presidents, W. Bush and Obama, to go to the Middle East to preach how good America is. He said that he wants to Americanize Islam, and you're drawing a comparison between him, Mr. Nice Muslim, and the Westboro Baptist Church. You were making that comparison.
No, you were the one who was making that comparison. I was saying that people will judge you based on your actions.
Oh, come off it, Thunderf00t. Hang on. You're saying that you didn't make a comparison between Westboro Baptist Church.
Can you see this?
And the Cordoba Initiative.
Can you see this? Right. In fact,
Can I see what?
Can you see what I've got here? You might have to make it bigger on your screen.
You're already big. I mean, I think I've got quite a bit of lag on the screen.
On this side, you have Westboro Baptist Church, yes? Now, these are seen as a hate group because of their actions. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And with the Cordoba Initiative, their actions were seen as being jerky by a majority of Americans.
But that's something slightly
Oh,
different.
Landon, it's crashed on the
Connection
blog.
failed. Yeah. Hold on. Let me refresh. I'll probably have to. Right. Let's see. Start public show. News and views. Start. Okay. And now I have to re-invite you.
Oh, I might have to.
Invite co-host.
Connecting. So it's connected. Oh, yeah, no, I'm moving. Okay, you should be able to see us now. Can everyone see us and hear us?
Yeah, that should be working for everyone.
Okay. So back to the point that we were on. With Westboro Baptist Church, people have formed their opinions of Westboro Baptist Church by their actions. Yeah. And with the Cordoba Initiative.
Okay, what I said though wasn't that people, that people consider, or that people at large consider the Westboro Baptist Church to be a hate group. What I said was that you've got people like the Southern Poverty Law Centre who consider the Westboro Baptist Church to be a hate group. Okay, that's now.
Fine.
In a minute we can come on to the issue of the media and so on, and the role the media had in spreading this. The point I'm making here is that, in the way you expressed yourself, you were making an equivalence between the actions of the Cordoba Initiative and the actions of people like the Westboro Baptist Church.
No, that's not what I was making a comparison between. I was making a comparison that people form their opinions, right, based on the actions, right? So the comparison is completely accurate, right? I didn't say that Westboro Baptist Church are jerks, and I didn't say that Cordoba Initiative were jerks. I was saying that people form their opinions on things based on the actions.
Okay, well, in that case, for the time being, I will allow that you weren't, when you were talking about the Cordoba Initiative, after having just flashed up images of Westboro Baptist Church protests, that you weren't...
The point was, Landon, yes, no, absolutely, that people form their opinions, right, because of their actions, right? That is why people form their opinions, right? And there are reasons why people held their opinions.
But let's move on to the second point I made, which is that people aren't judged on their actions, but on what people think their actions are.
I agree.
Now, Thunderf00t, you're probably aware that there was this rumour going around that that Park 51 was going to be opened on September the 11th. Do you remember that? You remember the rumour?
Yeah, I remember there was, things like that going around.
Yeah, it was a lie. It was made up.
Yeah.
Do you remember there were things going around that was called the Ground Zero Mosque? Because it's not a ground zero and it's not a mosque. Do you remember the things that were going around?
Actually, on that one, I would probably have a little more contest. In that, how many seats is this going to have? How many Muslims are actually going to be able to worship in this? Oh, hang on, Landon, we've got no sound. You've got no sound.
No, we've got no. Okay, there seems to be a small soundish on Blog TV's end. I keep cutting out.
You're fine with me, so it's all going to be fine on the recording.
Apparently, Thunderf00t's speaker sound is messed up, is what I'm being told.
Okay.
Can people in the room hear me? You may want to refresh. Okay, I will try refreshing. Cutting in and out, that's unfortunate. Thing is, I've got I've got good input here on my microphone. I can see it on the little indicator thing. Can you hear me clearly, or am I breaking up with you over Skype, Thunderf00t?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so I'm guessing the problem must be in getting from your speakers to your microphone, because that's the route the sound is taking at the moment.
No, we're talking on Skype. You're the one who's broadcasting it on Blog TV.
No, because I've got Blog TV muted. Let's see. Okay, so it's coming through here. Let's just try turning up the sound a little. Is that making any difference for people? Is that any better? That's better.
Only one person said that. For a room of 400, that's nothing.
Oh. Okay, Silver, I've done that. Unmute myself.
Maybe these people need to... I don't know.
Okay, no, because if I unmute... see what's deep. I think you may have to refresh, okay? I'm just going to take you off so that I can refresh. So, remove user. Where's the refresh button? Okay, refresh. Okay, can I get a sound check, please?
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me now? I'm not getting a lot of messages back on this.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the chat to catch up.
Oh, hang on. You've got to invite me again.
Yeah, at the moment I can't because my chat hasn't reappeared.
Oh, hang on. I know. Maybe I've got to refresh you.
No, it's not that. I've got a problem at my end. Next time I'm just going to get on a fucking plane. Click here to start broadcasting. I've got no idea if people can see and hear me.
I can see and hear. I can see you, but I don't know what the sound's like.
Yeah. Okay, hang on. I'll be right back.
It seemed that we... Oh, have you...
Yeah, hang on.
Okay, I was just wondering if you dropped me on Skype as well.
No, you're still on Skype.
And it's still recording. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Why is Google Chrome being... Right, hang on. I'll call you back.
No worries.